Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a truly exhaustive, complete deep dive into Lurianic Kabbalah, pulling straight from Talmud Eser Sefirot, Part 2. We're going to map out the literal architecture of reality. Now, I want you to picture a cinematic scene in your mind. Imagine an endless, brilliant, totally infinite light. Then there's a restriction, a withdrawal. This creates a perfectly circular, empty void called the Chalal Panui. Surrounding this void is that glowing, endless Ohr Ein Sof, the infinite light. And then, slowly piercing that perfect darkness, a single, incredibly thin thread of light enters. It's like a highly measured, divine pipeline. Today, we're exploring exactly how this singular beam constructs all worlds through two totally distinct systems, the Igulim, or circles, and Yosher, or straightness. Okay, so here's our roadmap for this journey. We'll start with the infinite and the void. Then, we'll look at the divine pipeline. After that, we'll unpack the Igulim, those circular shields, before moving into Yoshar, the inner architecture. Finally, we'll wrap up with the laws of cosmic importance. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The Infinite and the Void.
To grasp how anything exists at all, we first have to understand the metaphysical restriction of infinite light, a process known as the Tzimtzum. According to the texts, before creation, the Ohr Ein Sof, that infinite light, just filled everything. There was literally zero space for any independent recipient to exist, so the light restricted itself. But wait, before we go a single step further, I have to give you a massive warning. I say this to all my fellow mystical researchers. We are dealing with highly sensitive spiritual mechanics here. You have to throw away your physical notions of space, geometry, and distance right now. When we say circle, pipe, or talk about things being closer, please do not imagine a physical plumbing pipe or a circle drawn on a piece of paper. In spirituality, physical distance does not exist. These are purely structural terms describing states of being and energy flow.
What's absolutely fascinating here is how the text explicitly describes the shape of this void. Because the Ohr Ein Sof is completely uniform and perfectly equal, the restriction, the Tzimtzum, had to be perfectly even from all sides. It couldn't pull back more from the left or the right. That perfect equilibrium left behind a circular void, the Halal. It's a perfectly balanced, empty arena where creation could finally happen.
Section 2. The Divine Pipeline.
So into this perfectly balanced, empty, circular void, a singular, highly measured flow of energy is introduced to start building worlds. Think about it. If the infinite light had just rushed right back in, the void would vanish, and we'd be exactly where we started. This brings us to the literal structural sequence of creation. After the Challah is formed, a single, incredibly thin thread of light called the Kav enters. It acts as a tsinor dak, a very thin pipe. It doesn't flood the void. It enters slowly, carefully measured, drawing the Ohr Ein Sof into the empty space drop by drop, to form concentric layers, which we call Igulim.
Now here is a crucial mechanical point regarding the span of this pipeline. The top of the Kav touches the surrounding infinite light, right? It draws directly from the ultimate source. But the bottom deliberately stops short of the opposite end of the void. Why is that so important? Well, if the Kav crossed entirely through the void and touched the other side, it would completely bridge the gap. It would instantly erase the boundary and collapse the entire dimension. By stopping short, that endpoint creates a floor, a limit. And that limit is exactly what allows finite worlds to exist.
Section 3. Igulim, or circular shields. As this thin line, the Kav, descends into the Chalal, it forms a network of concentric layers. The texts call these Igulim, or circles. This is literally the first overarching system of creation. As the light flows down the pipeline, it emanates 10 distinct concentric circles, nesting one inside the other. The outermost circle, the one right at the edge of the void, is Keter, or crown. As the pipeline pushes slightly deeper inward, it circles again to form Chokmah, which is wisdom, then Bina, understanding, and so on, cascading all the way inward down to the innermost point, the Malchut of the very first world, Adam Kadmon.
Let's pause for a second because we need to define a massively important concept, Hashavat Katsura, which translates to similarity of form. Remember my warning earlier about distance. In spiritual mechanics, entities are considered close, or karov, if their qualities are similar. They are far, or rahok, if their forms differ. So, in the system of the Igulim, the outermost circle, Keter, is depicted as being closest to the surrounding infinite light. But what that actually means is that Keter is the most pure, it's the most refined, and it shares the greatest similarity of form with the infinite source. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at it through a modern lens. From a cosmic engineering perspective, you can think of the Igulim like concentric cloud network layers.
The infinite light is essentially the ultimate cosmic server, and the Kav is a highly regulated data pipeline that exclusively distributes energy to these specific layers. Or, if you prefer a video game analogy, imagine the Igulim as massive, concentric, protective energy shields defending a world inside. That outermost shield is the strongest, purest energy, directly touching the very edge of the ultimate power source.
Now, you might be wondering, hey, since the Igulim are surrounded by the infinite light on all sides, why don't they just absorb that light directly from the outside? The text is incredibly explicit about this. The Igulim must receive their light strictly through that thin pipeline, the Kav. If the surrounding infinite light, the Ohr Makif, directly influenced them from all sides, they would instantly lose their finite boundaries. They'd be completely nullified, or batel. It would literally erase the concept of gvul, meaning boundaries, and they would just dissolve straight back into the infinite. So the pipeline is absolutely crucial because it regulates the exact dosage of existence.
Section 4, Yosher, the inner architecture. So the circles, the Igulim, are essentially just a passive, protective outer network. They don't generate new power, they merely receive it. But now let's move to the second system. This is the internal operating system, a structured, directed form known as Yosher, or straightness. Yosher introduces entirely new, heavily interactive mechanics. Unlike the passive circles, Yosher has Aviut. Aviut is a thickness, or a dense, heavy will to receive. And even more importantly, Yosher utilizes a Masach. A Masach is a screen. Think of it as a spiritual firewall. The Igulim completely lack this firewall, they just passively sit in their purity. But Yosher is built on active resistance. When the incoming direct light, the Ohr Yashar, hits this spiritual firewall, it triggers an incredible reaction called zivug dehaka, which means a striking union. The firewall flat out refuses to just blindly consume the light. Instead, it strikes the light, resisting it, and bounces it back up. This massive rebounding energy is called Ohr Hozer, or returning light. It's actually this intense, directed resistance and returning light that forms the specific vessels, the kelim, that can actively interact with the divine. If the Igulim are the passive shields, Yasher is the source code. It's the active operating system of reality.
Section 5, Laws of Cosmic Importance. Now let's see how all these mechanics build into arguably the most fascinating paradox in all of Lurianic Kabbalah. It's all about what the system considers to be important or high. Look at the beautiful contrast here. In the Igulim, the rule is straightforward. The outer layer is the most important. It's the most zak, the most pure, possessing almost zero aviut, or thickness, which makes it closest in form to the infinite. But Yosher? Yosher completely flips the script. In Yosher, the inner, the thickest, the most aviut heavy part is actually the most important. Why? Because the thicker the will to receive, the stronger the Masach, the firewall, needs to be. And a stronger firewall generates a much more massive, powerful returning light.
Let's bring it back to our video game analogy to really lock this in. The outer Igulim shields passively protect the system, right? Their purity is their strength. But Yasher is the dense central upgrade path. It's the core gameplay loop. The thicker the challenge, the stronger the boss, the higher the Aviut, well, the more power you generate when you overcome it using your firewall. While the outer layers passively receive exactly what they are given, the thick, heavy internal challenges of Yasher's architecture actually generate the system's true dynamic power and interaction. The architecture of the cosmos isn't just something floating up there. It is right here in how we operate every single day. Do we just passively receive our environment, or do we use our internal firewall to resist, to direct, and to generate completely new light? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.